Hey folks, thanks for tuning in to another episode of Second Son Woodworks here on my YouTube channel. Today I'm going to be kicking off a brand new series on the making of a family sign using avocado wood that the family gave me. Hope you'll stick around. This is going to be a good one. This first episode of the series is going to be regarding the prepping of the slab, which you can see is a round cookie slab that I cut up myself using a chainsaw. You can see here that I pulled out the Rockler letter router template guides that I'll be using later on in the project, and you can see that I'm pulling out the letters for the last name of the family I gave the sign to. The cool thing about this project is that I use a piece of avocado wood from a tree that was growing in the family's yard. Unfortunately, the tree had to come down, and they decided to give me some of the wood in exchange for me making them a family sign. Like I said, this was about 5 years ago, and the sign is actually now hanging at their cabin in Mammoth, California, which is pretty cool to think about it hanging there for all to see, or at least their visitors and their guests. Yeah, it's a cool thing. Anyways, I digress. Before I get to using these super handy template guides from Rockler, link in the description, I wanted to see if I could smoothen out the faces of this slab using a hand planer, which most of you woodworkers out there know that planing end grain like this with a hand plane is extremely difficult and really doesn't result in the greatest results. But for whatever reason, that didn't stop me from trying, and you can see here that I really didn't even create that many wood chips. So I switched over to another hand plane that's more of like a scraper, and that also didn't have the best results. But nonetheless, I continued to scrape away at this plane to see what I could do, and really it was just a way of unleashing some of the pent-up stress from the week before. But that's kind of what woodworking is about, right? Releasing stress, making yourself feel a little bit better because you're doing some physical activity with a tool. Maybe not all of us do woodworking for this reason, but I guess that's kind of why I do it. Most of you out there are probably thinking to yourself, this guy's crazy. Well, maybe I am. But I'm still working with wood to this day, and I make some pretty cool stuff. Go check out my website. Oh, and maybe I should go ahead and say this is a good time for you to subscribe because I'm taking off my shirt. Actually, not my shirt, just my sweater, but when I was pulling it off, it showed my belly. Hit that subscribe button. Let's get back to the project. You can see here that I'm continuing to work away at the end grain of this slab, trying to smoothen it out with a hand plane, or at least a few hand planes, and the results, like I said, were not great. And that's because planing end grain is very difficult. It's better to plane with the grain of the wood. Good tip for woodworkers out there. Take it, because you can see here that it's really not producing that many bits of sawdust, which is not ideal when you're planing. You want to produce nice smooth shavings, and yeah, so I kept trying and really just didn't have that great a result. So learn from me. But for whatever reason, I just kept on working away at that piece of wood with the clamps, and just wanted to just dig into it. Just keep working at it. Just try it. Maybe it was because of the stress from the week before, but anyways, that's what makes woodworking so fun, right? Oh, now I gotta do this other side. Oh man, it's even worse. Learn from me. But again, this is a great opportunity to release some stress, right? Just keep on working away at it. Just keep trying. Man, wow. Learn from me. Tough. Why not sand it? I'll just sand it. I'll sand it. It's fine. This is a great example of how woodworking sometimes doesn't work the way you want it to work. So why not just clean up and take a different direction? Try something different. If it doesn't work, don't keep trying. Instead, just burn the wood. Just char it. But seriously, this is a technique that's been around for thousands of years. So I figured since the planing wasn't really working, why not just use my torch and burn the wood? No, but really, that's what I did. You can see it right here. I'm burning the wood with a torch. And it's honestly not only fun, but it's actually good for finishing the wood and sealing it up for outdoor use, which this sign is going to be hanging on the outside of a cabin up in the mountains. So it actually worked pretty well. And if you don't believe me, you can just keep watching and I'll show you how well it works out. Or at least you'll see at the very end of the third episode of this series. So you better stick around. And if you haven't already, make sure to hit that subscribe button. My channel is full of tips like this. Full! So go check out the library. If you don't have a torch like this, a propane torch, you should get one. It's really useful in woodworking. Burning wood like this not only seals up the exterior grain of the wood, but it also adds a nice aesthetic feature that brings out the grain of the wood, the color, the texture, the shape, all of it. It's very nice. And that's why it's been used for thousands of years. Be careful if you're using a torch like this. You don't want to burn down your home or let alone a forest. Only you could protect the forest. Only you could prevent forest fires. The added benefit of doing this is that it's kind of satisfying. You just hang out in your shop and you get to burn wood. Maybe I'm overselling this and I should talk about the downsides of burning wood. No. Burning wood's pretty great. You should do it. Burn some wood. I guess it does create a bit of a fragile surface, if you think about it. And if you're okay with that, then maybe that's not a big deal, but it could also create some structural weakness if you burn it too much. But that char might keep the bugs away and keep the light out. UV protection? But I'll let you be the judge of whether or not this is a good idea. Just keep watching. And remember, you gotta be safe when you're doing this. You definitely don't want to be the next neighborhood fire hazard, arsonist, or pyromaniac. Another upside to burning the wood like this is that you can still cover it with some sort of oil finish after, which I'll be doing later on in a future episode, so make sure to hit that subscribe button so that you stay notified when I release the next ones. To increase safety in the shop, I also have a fire extinguisher. Get yourself a fire extinguisher. Alright, I've told you a few things about burning wood, but burning specifically avocado wood. That's interesting, right? Since I received this wood from the family that I'm making this sign for, I've made a number of things with the avocado wood, and I've come to really like the way that avocado wood is able to be worked with. It's not super hard, but not super soft, kind of a nice mid wood. It has a red-orange hue to it and really tight grain. And this specific piece had former termite damage that kind of give it a nice, unique character trait. So if anybody offers you some avocado wood, you should take it. And just like that, the entire wooden, round, cookie, avocado wood slab, local Santa Barbara, was fully burned. And I was ready to move on to carving the letters, but first I needed to attach the letter template guides that I referenced at the beginning of the video. And to do this, I used some two-sided tape. But before doing the two-sided tape, I had to brush off some sawdust and use an air compressor. Otherwise, that two-sided tape wouldn't be very effective. Two-sided tape is great, but only if it can adhere to the wood or wherever you're using it. I like using two-sided tape around the shop. Super effective, but again, make sure that you clean up the surface that you're attaching it to, otherwise it's not very useful. I'm going to be using my router with these router template guides from Rockler, and so I need them to be thoroughly attached to the work surface so that when I use the template guide in my router that I'm attaching right now, it doesn't move the actual template guides. That will ensure that the letters come out perfectly. But don't just take my word for it. Stick around till the next episode, when I show you how I do it, in the next episode of this series on how to make a family sign with an avocado wood slab. Stick around. Hit that subscribe button with the bell icon so that you stay notified when I release it. But that comes to the end of this episode, the first part of this 3-part series on how I made this sign. So hopefully you will see the next ones, and hopefully you enjoyed this one, and hopefully check out my social media and all of my other videos. Build something cool. Thanks, folks. See you next time.